Story time. Okay, I'll try to link the video that has to do with this like below. But if you have seen my other video on my past life regression to me being an ancient, sorry, I thought I heard something, in ancient Kemet or ancient Egypt, check that out. But in part of it, in the back of his mind, like when I have past life regressions, it kind of feels like I'm in the sunken place, like in the back of this person's mind. And so I can like see out of their eyes and I can like hear their thoughts and everything, but like I can't like do anything or really change much of anything. Um, Although he did have deja vu, like, which is, I don't know. I think he kind of like felt me going back there and it kind of came across as deja vu. Anyway, so in part of that past life regression in ancient Egypt, I was a painter and I was a head artist and had a team of people that were employees of mine, I guess. And I remember thinking like, oh, I can't be out after dark too long, or I don't want to go to this place by myself or whatever because so and so is likely to kill me. I don't remember the name, but it was like so and so is likely to like or unalive me or whatever. Um and it was this other artist who was just genuinely not as talented as I was, and during meetings or like rituals or anything like that, he would try to like make me look really stupid or just demean me or whatever, and it didn't really work. And I was like, I feel like this guy's gonna end up trying to unalive me so he could try to become like the head artist here. It's just really weird. But so fast forward to um another past life regression that I kept having like nonstop a couple of years ago. And it was there was an area that we were painting and working on that we had to stop working in there because of structural damage. And this the artist was like, "Oh, I painted something and I wanted to get your idea on it, or I wanted to get your opinion on it, because I wanted to like propose it to whoever to see if I can recreate this picture on the new area that we're working on." And I was in a rush. I think I don't remember what I wanted to do. I think I was trying to go and like see my wife or something like that. And I really wanted to get out of there. Plus, I didn't want to be alone with this man because he just was insane and dangerous. And I just wanted to be away from him. But he was like pushing and pushing, and he was just like, "Come on, like I just want to show you this." Da, 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 da. And so I was like, "All right, I'll give you my opinion." And so I tried to keep my distance and even had him like walk in front of me to make sure that like he wasn't gonna hurt me or anything like that. Um, and I was looking at his art piece and I was like, okay, yeah, this looks fine. It's nothing like crazy special. Like, I don't know why you really wanted my opinion on it. And then the next thing I know, I have this horrible pain on the side of my head. And I was like completely just out of it and just like dizzy. And I was like, what in the world is happening? And I turned really quick and he hit me again with like a rock. And I was just like, what the heck? Like, get away from me, get away from me. And the guy was like, he had this specific look in his eyes that was like, if you've ever seen somebody in like a religious cult or something like that, they tend to have this like look where it's like, they'll have these like big eyes and be like, it's freaking weird. It's freaking weird. And he looked like that. It's just like this weird unhinged happiness. And I could see it in his eyes that he was just like, all I have to do is unalive this person and then I'll get the job and then everything will be fine and everything's perfect and no problem. It was nuts. And so he's hitting me over the head with this thing. I was pushing him away and trying to get away because like I just really couldn't believe it was happening. And I stumbled a little bit, and behind me was a stone crypt, I guess, that it was already in there, but again, we had to stop working on that room because of structural damage. And he pushed me into it. And the last thing I remember seeing was like I was pushed back and I rolled over and I was in this like stone casket. And it literally, the last thing I remember seeing was like, I was like in shock. And then it was like, I'm gonna pretend this, my hand is like a stone, piece of stone or whatever. And it was his face going like, and then I was like stuck in this freaking casket. And I was hitting the thing and banging it. And I heard him close the entrance way to it. And I was like, nobody's gonna find me in here because we were told that like this area isn't we're not working in this area anymore, this room anymore. And I was banging on the thing and I was like, okay, joke's over, like let me out. And then I heard him like slide the door over and I was like, he's gonna leave me in here. And that was when I realized like I'm getting like left in here to die because I couldn't move the stone, like nothing like that. I think he put like a boulder on top of it. And I was just freaking out and screaming. And the last thing I remember is being really upset. Like, my wife has no idea where I am, what happened to me. I'm just disappearing from my wife's life. And I felt so bad, like, about it. And I was just freaking out. And it was really different from me remembering when I passed away in my most previous past life. Because in my most previous past life, I was in a hospital room. And I kept feeling different parts of my body and different organs shutting down. And that's when I was like, oh, I think I'm on my deathbed. And I felt this like string. And every time like an organ would fail, it would like pulsate. And I've said it before, and I don't think this is in everybody's case, but it had to happen in mine. My exact day and time of birth is his exact day and time of death. So those pulses, I think, might have been like labor and delivery pains for my biological mom in this life. But in the one in ancient Egypt where I was buried alive, I think God was trying to spare me because it was obvious I wasn't going to get out of there. I was getting buried alive and I didn't deserve to suffer. And so it wasn't like I felt the pain of like being stuck in there and dying of starvation or anything. I definitely was scratching out, like trying to scratch and get out of there and freaking out. And then it was just like immediately my soul came out of that body. Like there was no organ shutting down. It was just really, it was very different from my most previous past life where it was like a really slow thing. I started like hallucinating and seeing like my father's ghost, different ancestors' ghosts. And it was like a whole process. But in that one, it was very much like, time to go. And then it gets even weirder because after I started having that precognition or that past life regression, a couple years ago, I was watching this documentary with my partner at the time, and in part of it, they were trying to excavate this crypt in Egypt. And there was this really cringy scene where they decided to stop looking in there because they found a man who was buried alive. They found a man who was buried alive. And you could see his, like, I think it was me. Like, I think it was me because it was weird. I was, like, watching it and I was like, no, that's, like, and even I was like, I don't know. And then later that evening, my partner at the time left. And I ended up having, like, another past life regression to, like, that exact scene. And I was like, was that me? Like, in that documentary, the room looked the same. Obviously, it was, like, really beat up and stuff. And the whole excavation team looked so uncomfortable because they could tell that they had discovered somebody who was buried alive or possibly murdered. It looked like the back of his skull was cracked or something like that. And I genuinely do think it was me because, like, it was really weird. It looked the exact same, just beat up. And yeah, there was structural damage. That whole crypt wasn't well kept together or anything. There were like boulders, areas were crumbling because there was structural damage. I don't know. It was really freaky. And it gets even freakier because I'm pretty much 100% sure that that man who murdered me in that life, I think I knew him in this life. Or, well, her in this life. In, like, this avatar life. And that's going to be another story time. Because it's like we had to deal with the same karma. She had to deal with that karma for So that'll be the next story time, I guess.